Hi. Uh, Starting off, can you tell us a little bit about yourselves and what you do?
Do you want me to start?
Yeah, if that's okay.
That's fine. My name's Germaine O'Connell. I'm actually retired social worker from the state for many, many, many years, longer than most of you have been alive, probably. But now I work for myself. I own lots of rental property, and I also work for a gentleman named Chad Needham, helping him with his rental property.
Very cool. What about you, Adina?
My name is Adina Tatum. I am the Director of Operations for the Julietta Market. I am also an entrepreneur in the health and wellness industry, and I'm a jazzercise instructor.
Very cool. So, what is your favorite aspect of being an entrepreneur? Let's start with you, Germaine. Sorry about that.
Oh, well, probably my favorite aspect is just working for myself and learning new things, sometimes the hard way, but sometimes the easy way. And then just seeing the outcome of that, the hard work I've done and where I am today.
That's very cool. I like that. Learning new things is all very, very good. And you, Adina?
I would say my favorite part about entrepreneurship is the flexibility that it's given me to be with my kids. And also that it's never the same thing, because I can get bored pretty easy. So always having a different challenge is something that keeps me motivated and keeps me going and focused. So.
Yeah. So self-care is very important now more than ever. What are ways you implement some self-care for yourselves? Let's start with you, Adina.
Yes, self-care is very important. I have self-care Sundays is what I call it. So I do facials, I do nails, eye gels, mask, all that kind of stuff. And I take that time to just kind of unplug and focus on me. Also jazzercise, even though it is my job, it's a way, it's my hobby and the thing that makes me feel good. And the happiest place I'm at is on stage when I'm teaching jazzercise. So that is part of my self-care.
That's cool. That's a really good idea. I like the self-care Sundays. I might have to try that myself. What about you, Germaine?
Well, I like to walk, so I try to walk every day just to, if nothing else, breathe air and give myself a chance to look outside, not always be tied to a desk or looking at paperwork. But like Adina, I take one day a week, and my day's Wednesday, where I don't schedule anything. I might end up doing lots of things, but I try not to schedule anything. So if I do want to have a down day, it's not scheduled.
Very cool. It's always nice to be out in nature and just be there and do something like walking or hiking. I very much enjoy that also. Where will we find you on a Saturday morning at 10 a.m.? Let's start with you, Germaine.
Well, that's my Saturday walking group time. I walk with about 6 or 7 other people. Sometimes it's a mixed group of men and women. Sometimes it's just women. But that's where you'll find me most Saturday morning.
That's very cool. Sounds very nice and enjoyable.
It is.
What about you, Adina?
Saturday morning is kind of, I work all week with Julietta Market, but that is when the market really comes alive. So you'll find me in the market Saturday mornings at 10, getting everyone organized, getting pop-up vendors set up where they are supposed to be at, making sure that everything is in order for the market to function. So that is where you will find me every Saturday morning.
Very cool. How do you balance your career, personal life, and passions? Let's start with you, Adina.
I Balancing. I would say like Germaine on Wednesdays is the day I don't schedule anything either. I don't know what it is about Wednesdays. Maybe we need that middle day off. I don't know, in the week. So I try not to do anything on Wednesdays and spend that day just forward thinking. So I'm still a little bit working, but it's more on things that I really want to work on, not like the little nitty gritty things. But I also make sure that I have time for my kids and their activities. So being able to work from home has allowed me to do that. And that's given me the balance from personal and work life. And then of course I am dedicated to teaching 3 times a week, the jazzercise, which is my passion there. So I have that actually automatically scheduled on those days. So that's how
cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. I think the thing about Wednesdays is it's just a nice little break halfway through the week for all of us. What about you, Germaine?
Well, I am tied to a calendar, so I try to keep things scheduled on a written down, so I don't tend to overschedule or underschedule because I have it all written down and planned out. So I try to stay to my schedule, and I always try to build in every day a little of business and a little of personal. So
Very cool. That's a good way for some people like me who love schedules.
yes.
What does leadership mean to you, and what is your leadership style? Let's start with you, Germaine.
Well, leadership means to me being able to see the best in people and being able to use their skills to move forward with whatever you're trying to accomplish. So I always see a good leader as someone who can understand what everybody's assets are on a team and utilize those to the best of their ability, and then maybe help them learn some of the things that maybe they're not so great at, and so they get the confidence to get better at that. And so I tend to like to lead as a team leader and just another participant on the team rather than a boss or someone in charge. I'd rather be the other person on the team that brings the skill that the team doesn't have. So that's kind of what I think leadership is utilizing everybody and supporting everybody who wants to learn new things, and just showing the team that it does take a village to get a job done, and everybody can play a part.
That's very cool. I like what you said about using everyone's skills and then helping them learn new stuff, maybe. I really like that.
Good.
What about you, Adina?
Similar to Germaine, I would say also my leadership style is leading by example. I would never ask someone to do something that I wouldn't do myself. And having integrity in the decisions and choices that you make whenever you are tasked with a big decision. And then I like to see how much people know, like Germaine said, and then utilize their strengths. Again, try to find out where maybe they are a little bit less confident and help them build confidence in those areas. High moral standards, compassion, and understanding are leadership qualities that I think are very important, and I try to have in all the things that I do.
That's good. So, what quality do you think makes a great leader? Is there a particular leader you look up to, and why? Let's start with you, Adina.
Again, I think a good leader has compassion, integrity, and tries to pull out the strength in all of their the people who they are leading. Man, I have so many people that I look up to in my life currently as leaders. It's hard to just pick one. I am good friends with Pamela Goodwine, who is a judge, an appellate court judge here in Lexington, and I love her backstory and all of the adversity that she's faced and how she set her mind on something and she never looked away from that. She always knew she wanted to be a judge, and no matter what came in her way, that was her end goal, and she did it. So yeah, and even like our current executive director where I work, I look up to her as a mentor and an excellent leader. I've learned so much from her. And I love that she calls me on my mistakes and tells me where I need to improve. I appreciate that honesty. So
yeah, everyone needs a little bit of someone telling them when they're not doing something quite right. Yeah. I know I have that in my mom. Like, she's not afraid to tell us what we're doing wrong. That's always good. What about you, Germaine?
I have to say I agree with Adina. I think a great leader is someone who supports you in your skills, but also gives you the opportunities and the tools to learn new things. Maybe it's a baby step. Maybe you do a little something new and then take on bigger and bigger. But I really think a leader is someone who supports you, someone who gives you feedback that's helpful, and someone who can doesn't always need to take the credit for everything. Everything is done by the group. So I really appreciate a leader who recognizes the group and recognizes everyone in the group. And as far as leaders, I've had a lot of great leaders in my career, but I have to say the ones that I really gravitated toward were leaders who were always positive and always seemed to want to try how to get things done, and always said, okay, how can we accomplish it? Not necessarily how we can't accomplish it. And sometimes we couldn't accomplish it, but they always gave it a try. So I just support people who are positive and just give everybody a chance to kind of spread their wings.
It's good to always go into a situation with a positive attitude. I like that. How important is it to have a mentor to grow as a leader? What are some steps to build that type of relationship? Let's start with you, Germaine.
Well, I think it's always great to have someone to watch and learn from. I think some of the best ways to do that is to go out and seek help. Seek someone that you might think would be a good mentor, someone who's in the position or on a path that you want to follow. And I think doing sometimes small things, even if it's just volunteering to do a small activity with them or a small little job, so you could at least learn some of the skills, takes you a long ways. And I think doing that, joining organizations where you see good mentors, or being a participant in your professional organizations, those are all good ways to find people and opportunities to test yourself, maybe sometime before you have to take on a very big project. So
that's always good. Yeah. So what about you, Adina?
I think a great way to seek mentorship and find mentors in areas that you're interested in is, of course, try to get involved in things that are focused on those areas. Whether it be a cat in, like you find a mentor that is focused on that or has that, and let them mentor you and tell you the ways that they have struggled and how they have found successes. Stepping out of your comfort zone too. Like, don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to say you don't know how to do something, and allow that person to kind of teach you and lead you in that way. I think sometimes we fail ourselves when we don't admit where we fall short, because we should always be learning. So asking people, hey, who do you know that knows this area? Who do you know that knows about this subject? And then try to meet those people, create those links in that way. You never know like who you're going to be connected to by, you know, the people that you just happen to say hi to. So just asking, I think just ask, look for it and ask questions and get to know people who are doing things that you love.
Yep. I like what you said about not being afraid to ask stuff. My mom always really tells us that we should not be afraid to ask. What advice do you have for Girl Scout young entrepreneurs? What advice do you have for women looking to grow either their own business or within the company they work for? Let's start with you, Adina.
For young girl entrepreneurs, my advice would be don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. If there is something that you really want to achieve, you know, really go for it. Set goals and set small goals that are achievable and set big goals. And do your research. Research is really important. You know, listen. I'm always listening to hear, just because you never know what you're going to hear in a conversation. It may not even be a conversation for you, but you may get a little snippet of a nugget of gold that you can take and help build your business that you're wanting to build. It's great to be not always around like-minded individuals, because sometimes people that think differently may allow you to see a different pathway or a different way to accomplish your goals and your missions as an entrepreneur. But my biggest advice is don't give up and just keep trying. Even when you fail, learn from your failures.
That's really good. I really like the learn from your failures things, because we all know we failed plenty of times. I personally have a lot, but then I've always learned from them, so that's always good. What about you, Germaine?
Well, I think Adina said it best. I think she hit it the nail right on the head. The biggest thing I learned many years ago is don't be afraid to try something new. You don't have to try anything big. You can try it little. You can go to a partner or to another business person and say, let's practice on something together. Let's try this little activity. Let's do one little event and learn from it. I've always thought it was very helpful after everything you do is to always have an after action report. That's what I call it, an after action report. And that's where you review what you did well and what you didn't do so well. And so you can learn. So always evaluate, always do and put yourself out there and then evaluate it. And that makes you even stronger and richer for the next time you try it.
That's a good piece of advice. I like that. What entrepreneurial tricks have you discovered to keep you focused and productive in your busy day-to-day schedule? Let's start with you, Germaine.
Well, I have to go back to that schedule word again. I try to arrange my day kind of the same every day. I take the mornings to always read all my emails, weed through them, get rid of the stuff I don't have to do anything with, or put aside the things I have to go on, or just answer the things I can answer right away and get them off my plate. So I always try to have my day kind of organized that suits my work style. I kind of find that I'm more of a morning person. I work better and faster in the morning. So do the hard things in the morning and leave the easy stuff for the afternoon, where maybe you don't have to pay attention as much or you don't have to go as fast. So I just try to make sure my days are programmed the way I work to get the most productivity out of me. And then, or I schedule a week that I only do certain meetings on certain days, because I know I want to have time to get prepared or time to follow up. So just knowing yourself and knowing what work habits you are good at and implementing those, and finding out what work habits you're not good at, and trying to get some help about those.
Yeah. I personally know I work better in the morning, so I try and lean into that strength, I guess you could call it.
Yes, exactly.
So I like that. I like that. That's good advice. What about you, Adina?
It's definitely a schedule thing for me as well. So time management is super important. So knowing what needs to be done first and what could be done last. So I try to get the important things done first, and the things that can wait a little bit, we'll get to them. Um, I literally just got through 100 emails today, and it's taken me wow, my emails got so backed up. But so I went through them and I prioritized. So some of them were have been sitting there a little bit longer, but there were things that were way more important that I had to answer sooner. So definitely making a schedule out, knowing what days I need to work on what, things that need to be ready for the market on the weekend. I try to get done in the beginning, so that way I know they're out of the way, all reporting and stuff like that. So just prioritizing, making a checklist and checking it off. And that's how I stay focused. And also just sometimes it helps me if I put like a podcast on, some of this motivational or some kind of music to listen to, because then I could just kind of focus and chug through things. Like in the office, they call me a squirrel because I'm like, oh, what do we do? Why don't we do this? Oh, why don't we do this? When I have a list of things to do. So if there's a way to just like kind of hone in and focus, listening to music, that's how I'm able to just kind of click through my list and get things done.
That's very cool. I do like listening to music when I do my chores or things like that. It helps me ground and like focus. I really like that. Okay. What would you say are the top 3 skills you need to be a successful entrepreneur? Oh, let's start with you, Adina.
The top 3 skills, I would say, first, you have to have some tenacity and some tough skin, and be able to deal with things not going right the first time. That's very important because it's not going to always work out perfect in the beginning, but you learn from that. A second skill is to pivot. Take that failure and make it not a failure. Take it, pivot, and make it work for what you want. And then also realizing, I think the third thing, there's so many. I can't pick a top 3. There's so many skills you need for entrepreneurship, so that's hard to pick top 3. The third one, I would think, is very important to pay attention to the market that you're in. So if you have a specific brand or you have a specific product that you're wanting to focus on, and maybe there's 2 or 3 things that you have that you're focusing on, but one is just doing magnificent, the other 2 are not, it's okay to stop those other 2 things and focus on what's working and make that your priority. So finding a niche and finding a focus for your business is probably the top one. I would say that's the top one. So find your niche, stay with your niche, and build from that. So once you have something that works, build from that up.
That's some really good advice. I like that. I like your top 3 things. What about you, Germaine?
Mine aren't too far from Adina's. I have to say the first thing is to believe in yourself and believe in what you're doing and enjoy what you're doing, because your enthusiasm is going to come through if you really like it and you really believe in it, and somebody else is going to say, I want some of that, I want to do that, if they think you're having a great time. So believe in yourself and really believe in what you're doing, what you're selling, what you're marketing, what you're doing as a job. Just believe in yourself and really truly believe what you're doing. I would also say that take advantage of every opportunity to learn about what you're doing. Learn from others, go to events, read books. I've read many stories of how very successful people get where they are, and they pretty much say a lot of it's luck, and a lot of it is just they took advantage of every opportunity. They went to that meeting, or they went to that conference, or they read that book. They just always trying to soak up anything about what they were doing and who else was doing it, and learn from those people. And I would say the third thing is learn to collaborate with others. Learn to bring other people into your world. As Adina knows this too, we have several people here at Gray Line Station that have gotten together and come up with some really crazy things like popcorn donuts, but they sold like hotcakes. I mean, who would have thought of putting popcorn on a donut? But our donut guy got with the popcorn lady, and little popcorn donuts were made. So just always make sure you open your world to others.
I just have to say, the popcorn donut does sound really good, and I like that story of collaboration and working together to make something amazing.
Yeah, it's always so amazing how creative people can be, and sometimes just getting with someone else helps your creative juices flow too. So always invite other people into your world.
Yeah. What do you believe will be the biggest challenge for the next generation of female leaders, and what advice would you give them? Oh, let's start with you, Germaine.
Okay. Well, I have to say that I'm a little envious of you guys, you young entrepreneurs, particularly women. I think you guys are going to be fabulous and are going to have a lot more opportunities than I did, being a woman in business. I'm just so excited for you all, and I just have so much hope and faith in our young people that we're really going to move the needle a long, long, long ways. So I think you guys are going to have a great opportunities and great success. I would say your biggest challenge is going to be still how to balance your life. That's always going to be something in the background. So just make sure you take time for yourself, because business can consume you. You can lose yourself in it. So just take time for yourself and schedule in a wacky Wednesday or a facial Sunday. So I just think you guys are just going to have great opportunities.
We have learned a lot of great self-care tips for today. I'm going to have to go try some of these. Mm-hmm. What about you, Adina?
Man, Germaine said it perfectly. Like, we obviously have an age difference, but I have seen so much change. Like, even when I started working when I was 16, and just the opportunities for women and female entrepreneurs is like the sky is the limit at this point. Challenges, you're always going to have a challenge, because you're always going to feel like, I think we're always our own self-critic, our worst self-critic. So we critique ourselves the most, especially if you're an entrepreneur. So you have that mind that you know what you're selling and what you're doing, and you know it better than anybody else. That may be a challenge, but as far as opportunity and stuff goes, sky's the limit. I can't see anything holding you young girls back at all, for whatever business that you want to pursue and whatever entrepreneurship you want to pursue. The other question was advice. What was the other one? I'm sorry. Advice.
Yeah.
My advice would be, man, I feel like we've given a lot of advice. My advice would be to just, work-life balance. I think that's the one thing positive that may come out of this pandemic, is the capability to still communicate virtually, figure out a way to pivot to where we're still able to work and run our businesses, but it's virtual. So now that we have this option to work at home, don't let that take away from your home life. Still schedule around what you want to do and the life that you want to have with your family, so you could home cook meals for them, so you can participate in their extracurricular activities. Don't feel like just because you can do it that you have to do it. So that would be my advice.
That's a really good piece of advice. I like that. So I think that was our last interview question. I'm going to hand it off to you, Katie Malden.
Thank you, Adina and Germaine and Katie. Thank you all so much for joining us today and for such a great conversation and sharing so much advice. Adina, you guys did share a lot of advice and we really appreciate it. And we didn't have any additional questions come in from our audience, but we will record this and post it on our Facebook page later this week. So if you have anyone that wasn't able to join us, go ahead and share that link with them when it's posted. Again, we really appreciate you all. And for all the audience members that have joined us today, thank you all for taking the time. Have a great evening.